Greetings, dear learners. I hope you are enjoying the toxicology course. Today we will be learning one of the interesting topic of the toxicology, that is the animal poisons. Animal poisons includes the, for our purposes, although there is a huge list, but for our purposes we will be learning snakes, scorpion stings, bees, wasp sting and the spider bite. So nature has created different types of the creation. Numerous venomous creatures inhabits the various regions globally. They possess the ability to inject toxic venom through biting or the stinging. It is important to distinguish the poisonous and the venomous that we already understood at the time of the initial period of the classes. The poison may be the anyone but lack the venom or the biting or stinging mechanism. So the poison, the fish may be the poisonous, we already talked, but not venomous. Whereas the snake is venomous, not poisonous. When you eat the snake, they will not be the poisonous, but when they bite, they inject the venom in the body. So they are the venomous. Whereas the poison is the in general property of any plant or the animal. So this is the main difference between the venomous and the poisonous. So the snakes, major snakes are the venomous, not poisonous. So this must be remembered when addressing the snakes. So the non-venomous snakes may bite but don't inject the venom. Our topic of discussion will focus on the common venomous creatures, particularly those found in the Indian subcontinents. Basically, the animal kingdom comprises of the two main divisions, the vertebrates and the non-vertebrates. Vertebrates, that is those who are having the vertebral column, and the invertebrates, those are not having the vertebral column. Within the vertebrates, one notable class is the reptilia, comprising of the snakes and the lizards. The snakes belong to the suborder Ophidia, while the lizards belong to the Lasterelia within the Squamata order. So in this way, the different venomous organisms are seen in the vertebrates and the non-vertebrates groups. So we will be starting learning with the snakes. The snakes are prevalent throughout the world, and one of the commonly known venomous organisms. Snake bites poses the significant medical emergencies leading to hospital admissions across many countries. However, the true extent of this problem remains unclear due to underreporting worldwide. The Southeast Asia region is particularly affected with the snake bite due to its dense population, widespread agriculture, numerous venomous snakes, and insufficient community awareness. Despite advancement in the understanding of the snake venom, its composition, its effect, managing a snake bite remains the challenging in the Southeast Asia region. While timely administration of the anti-snake venom reduces the morbidity and mortality, the current production falls short of the estimated annual requirement of the 10 million vials. So we are lacking the number of the anti-snake venom vials. Moreover, available snake antivenoms don't cover all the significant venomous snake in the region. This is another issue with respect to the anti-snake venom, as the many snake bite are not covered with the anti-snake venom that is usually available in the country. There is a pressing need to establish mechanisms for ensuring the timely access and availability of the anti-venom to all those in need. For that, the public-private partnership, inter-country support and involvement of the national, regional and the global agencies are crucial to effectively address this challenge. The Southeast Asia region hosts a diverse venomous population varying within and between the countries. A snake bite, particularly from the species like the Russell's viper, are the major medical emergencies, often affecting those engaged in the farming and the plantation work. However, the true extent of the mortality and morbidity remains unreported. To address this issue, a snake bite should be designated as a notifiable disease across the regions. Snake bites primarily affect the rural areas, impacting the nutrition economies, especially among the food producer and the wildlife park rangers. Thus, it is recommended that the International Labour Office formally recognizes a snake bite as the significant occupational disease, particularly in the Southeast Asia region. With this, the problem of a snake bite can be addressed in a more better manner. In the management of the snake bite, the most important step can be the prevention of the snake bite. That is the one of the main and important step that can be better attained with the community education, that is regarded as the powerful and the indispensable tool, and is strongly recommended as the most effective method for reducing the risk of snake bites and addressing the associated public health challenges. Snake bites pose the environmental, occupational, and the climatic hazards, especially in the rural areas, predominantly affecting the agricultural workers and their families. To minimize the risk of a snake bite, understanding the local snake species, their habitat, and their active time is very crucial. Avoid handling or threatening snakes and prevent attracting them by securing the food and sleeping under the mosquito nets can prevent from the snake bites. You can see here the community awareness program like that prevention is mother of care, better than cure. All these slogans may be taught to the rural and the agriculture workers. They must use the mosquito net. This is a very preventive method for the mosquito bites. In the rural and urban regions of the Southeast Asia region, snake bites commonly occur on the lower extremities of the agricultural worker and their families. Community education can play a pivotal role in mitigating the risks associated with the snake bite. Understanding the snake's habits, its habitats, aids in adopting preventive measures such as clearing debris and using protective gears. Implementing the preventive strategies, including training modules and awareness campaigns, can significantly reduce the snake bite incidences. Community awareness is the key to preventing snake bites and reducing associated morbidity and the mortalities. Region-specific guidelines and the training protocols are essential for the effective case management of the snake bite. Additionally, ensuring the availability of the snake venom and other supplies is crucial in reducing the preventable deaths due to the snake bites. In this way, we may prevent the deaths due to the snake bite and the exposure of the snake bite cases. And certain preventive measures that has been advised that must be taken care by the healthcare workers and the in general public, and it must be applied to prevent from the snake bite. The recommendation for the healthcare worker are that use the months of April and May to procure the necessary stock of the anti-snake venoms. Train the healthcare worker in snake bite prevention and the first aid. The reason being the 80% of bites occurs during the months of the June to September. So preparedness and the prevention need the particular attention in the time leading up to this epidemic season. So the commonest season for the snake bite is June to September. Then venomous should not be excluded by the absence of the fang mark. Many times the absent fang mark might indicate that the snake has not bitten, although the many times the snake's fang mark could not be identified and it becomes invisible. In those cases also the symptoms of the envenomation may be seen. So management of the patient shall be based on the envenomation. This shall be kept for the observation and the appropriate measures shall be taken once the symptoms are produced. The 3.8% of people without the fang marks were envenominated. This has been the finding. Crate bite in particular can be hard to visualize even a very short time after the bite. Then consider the snake bite in differential diagnosis of unexplained altered sensorium, alteration of the speech and the swallowing and the abdominal pain, especially during the rainy season. This is often the problem that patient is unconscious, he is not going to tell that he has been bitten by a snake and the patient is brought to the casualty. So doctors shall have this fact in the mind that the snake or insect bite or other things might also be there. Accordingly, the doctors should decide the management of the patients. The patient can present with the symptoms of envenomation without any history of being bitten by a snake. So this fact shall be kept in the mind. Then bites by unknown predator needs to be taken seriously and observed for the signs of envenomation. Then the bites by an unknown predator needs to be taken seriously and observed for the signs of envenomation. It has been seen that 14% of people who were unable to identify what was the predator that bited him were actually envenomated by the poisonous snake. So any envenomation of the A known predator shall be very cautiously cared and peasants shall be kept under observation. Don't rely on the ability of the peasants or the relative to identify snakes. Many times the relative will say that this is non-poisonous snake and like that. So don't rely on that. Go on the reasoning that it look for the envenomation signs, then accordingly decide for the management. The finding shows that the envenomation of the peasants only occurred in 63.6% of the cases where cobra were brought. To give the antivenom without symptoms of envenomousness exposes people to the risk of adverse reaction, and as well as it is costly, especially in the setting where the demand exceeds the supply. So the use of the antivenoms should be used very judiciously. So unless there is the signs and symptoms of envenomation, the antivenom should not be used, because antivenom itself is a very toxic. So its side effects may arise if the person is not having any snake bite or envenomation features, that it may be rather harmful than being of the benefit. Then consider the production of the bivalent anti-snake venom for the regions of the North India and the Nepal. Then another important facts to know is consider the production of bivalent anti-snake venom for the region of North India and the Nepal. Because saw-scaled and Russell vipers are not present in this particular India and Nepal, so bivalent antivenom is likely to cause less adverse reaction. There is no need of quadrivalent antivenom that is being used currently, for particularly for the India and the Nepal. There the only saw-scaled and Russell viper are not found. So bivalent antivenom may be sufficient for these regions. So they only must be used as antivenom. Then the recommendation for the community education. The community shall be educated about the different aspects of the snake bite envenomation. That includes a large part of public health education needs to be directed to children and the young people, to both the genders. The 10 to 19 years old age groups is at a peak age interval for the bites. Number of males and females bitten are almost equal. So this age group is a vulnerable age group. So they must be given the community education related to the snake bite. Then encourage them to use the footwear and the long pant and the trousers, as the most of the bite occur on the feet and the legs. The use of a stick to scare away the snakes prior to working in the area with the one hand is also recommended. This would decrease the number of bites where the hands are put into the snake microhabitats without prior visualization of the area, mostly in the agricultural fields. Then improve lighting is using the torches when walking outside. Lighting in and around the houses is another preventive measures. 40% of bites occurs between the 5 to 10 pms. 59.2% of bites occur in and around the house, and the lighting will enable the better visualization of the snakes. So in this way, the snake bites may be prevented. Then the provisions for the toilet and the education regarding their use in the house only, because in the rural areas people go for the toilet outside. There is the risk for the envenomation by the poisonous snakes. 8% of the bites occurs when the people were going to the field for the purpose of open defecation. So this is another issue that shall be tackled. And encourage the people to sleep on a bed and under a well tucked in mosquito nets. 10% of people were bitten while they were sleeping on the ground. This increases the risk of envenomation 6 times. Sleeping under the mosquito net decreases your risk of envenomation 6 times. So preferably the people should sleep under the mosquito net. They should not sleep on the ground or the floor in the open areas. Then the provisions for the buffer zones between the field and the housing areas may be established. 59% of bites occur in and around the houses. The snakes are attracted to the rodents who come for the grain being the grown, and keeping these distances separate may help in decreasing the encroachment of the snakes in the housing areas. So the rates that attracts the snake that comes in the household region, that can be reason for the snake bite, that can be prevented by this. Then make sleeping areas separate from the food storage areas, preparation and the consumption, for the same reason that the food areas will attract the rats and the rats will attract the snakes. So this all chain will be prevented if both the housing area and the food storage and preparation areas are separate. Then another important fact to know about the snakes is that we must be able to differentiate between the venomous and the non-venomous snake. So what all will be seen in case of the venomous snake? You can see the venomous snakes have the venom apparatus. That is the here this is the venom gland. This is the compression muscle, that is the for the compression and ejecting out the venom, and this is the venomous duct, and that is connected with this fang, and through this fang the venom is ejected inside the body or at the bite side. So the venom approaches is important to see for the venomous snake. In case of Elapidae and the Viperidae, venom glands are located behind the eyes. You can see here the venom gland is located behind the eye in case of the Russell viper, and it is surrounded by the compression muscle. Venom is conveyed through the groove or the canal from the base to the tip of the fang. From the base to the tip of the fang, venom is conveyed. Vipers have rotatable maxilla mounted fangs, while the Colubridae's venoms are secreted by the Donveri's glands that tracks down from the grooves in the posterior maxillary fangs. So this is the difference between the vipers and the Colubridae groups of the snake. Then another group of envenomation is the spitting cobras. They expel the venom from their fangs in the directed spray like the aggressor. They threw from a distance. So even they maybe go inside the open wounds or the eyes. In that case also the envenomation may be produced. So they are the spitting cobras. Snake venoms mainly comprises of proteins, enzyme, non-enzymatic polypeptide toxins and non-toxic proteins. Enzymes in the snake venoms include the hyaluronidase, L-amino acid oxidase, phospholipase A2 and peptidase. Metalloproteases present in the snake venom damages the membranes causing the bleeding, while procoagulant enzymes induce the clotting disorders. Neurotoxins affect the nerve endings and the muscle function. The pathophysiology of the envenoming involves the venom-induced swelling, bruising, hypotension and shock as a result of increased vascular permeability, thrombosis and the muscle damages. Various enzymes and toxic cause the coagulopathies, thrombocytopenia and the systemic bleedings. Respiratory paralysis and the kidney injury can also occur along with the immune complex mediated kidney damage from the antivenom. It is interesting to tell that the evolution of the envenomation process, that is to inject venom, involved around 140 million years ago. This is the one of the oldest method developed in the Animalia kingdom. The fangs allow the venom injection into the prey, with the spitting cobras being capable of expelling venom towards the aggressors. Venom injection in humans typically occurs subcutaneously or the intramuscularly. So in this way, the toxins of the venom are produced on the bodies. Then the next we should know about the snakes is the classification of the snakes. In the Southeast Asia region, venomous snakes belong to three main families: Elapidae, Viperidae and the Colubridae. Elapidae, the group that includes the cobra, V, that is the mainly the neurotoxic, V viper, V for vasculotoxic, you may remember. Viperidae is the vasculotoxic, and the Colubridae, they can be neurotoxic as well as the musculotoxic, and the various other features could be there. So the three groups that has been categorized in the Southeast Asia region is the Elapidae, Viperidae and the Colubridae. Typical Elapidae snakes can be of varied features, like the long and thin are the cobras displaying the raised hood, while the venomous sea snakes having the flattened paddle-like tails. They have the variety of features in different types of Elapidae snakes. Important medically significant species of the Elapidae includes the cobra, crates, death adders, taipans, black and brown snakes and the sea snakes. Here you can see in the picture short and permanently erect fangs in case of the Elapid snakes seen in the Sri Lanka region. Then another group is the Viperidae. The typical vipers and the pit vipers are identifiable by their short and thick bodies, small and rough scales on the head and the characteristic patterns on their backs. So this is the typical pattern, whereas the Elapidae are the long and thin, the Viperidae are the short and the thicker with the scales over the body. The notable species in the Viperidae groups are the Russell's viper, saw-scale viper, Malian pit vipers, mimosis, hump-nosed pit vipers, Chinese habu, green pit vipers. Here in the picture you can see the fangs in the case of the vipers, the long hinged front fang of the typical viper. This is the picture from the Thailand, that is of the Russell's viper, Debut russellii. Then another group is the Colubridae, that includes the species like redneck keelback and Yamakagasi, and with other species causing mild local envenoming. So they are comparatively less venomous. Another important fact to know is the non-venomous or minimally venomous species may be mistaken for the venomous ones, leading to unnecessary anti-venom treatment that we already talked. It may cause the additional hypersensitivity reaction or toxicity due to the anti-venom treatment. Python is another group of Colubridae, and the large python occasionally attacks the humans. So these facts shall be known while knowing about the snake bites. Here the picture shows the rear fangs of the dangerously venomous colubrid snake, the red-necked keelback snake, the rhabdofish subminatus. You can see that they have the rear side of the fangs. So this is the difference between the Elapidae, Viperidae and the Colubridae groups of the fangs. Elapidae has the small and erect fangs, whereas the Viperidae has the long and the hinged fangs, and the Colubridae has the rear side of the fangs. So although the different snakes will have different features, some of the snakes we will be looking hereafter, but before that we will be coming to know what is difference, how we can differentiate between the venomous and the non-venomous snakes. Although they are not the typical features that will be seen in all the cases, but this is the approximate criteria that may help to diagnose whether this is the venomous or the non-venomous snake. It is basically based on the major features that you have to look, that you have to see that most of the features are suggestive of venomous or most of features are suggestive of the non-venomous, because many of the features might be overlapping. So in those cases you have to examine the snakes properly and you have to decide, and on that basis herpetologists have already found which snake is poisonous and which is venomous and non-venomous. On that basis we will be also identifying some of them through the different pictures that is available with us. In general, the venomous snake are short and the dull colored, whereas the non-venomous snake are the slender and the brightly colored. Then the head is triangular in case of the venomous snake. In case of the non-venomous snake, it is the rounded or oval. Then the head scale is the important feature. A small scales are seen in case of the viper, poisonous snake. Usually the large scale are seen in the non-venomous snake, but some of the large scale are seen in the venomous snakes like the pit viper. Also there is a pit between the eye and the nostril, that is why it is called pit viper. Then the third supralabial touches the eyes and the nasal shield in case of the cobra and the coral snake. This is another identifying feature for the cobra. Then in case of crate, there is no pit and the third supralabial doesn't touch the eye and the nasal shields. These two features will help to separate from the coral and the pit viper. Then the central row of the scale on the back are enlarged and hexagonal in shape, and the fourth infralabial is the largest in case of crate snake. So this is the distinguishing feature of the crate snake. Then the belly scale, that is on the ground side, they are large and cover the entire breadth on the case of the venomous snake, whereas in the non-venomous snake they are small like those on the back and may be larger but don't cover the entire breadth of the belly. Then anal plate or the subcaudal plates, after the caudal plate the row is separated in case of the non-venomous snake, where it continues in the single row in case of the venomous snake. So this is another difference. Then the teeth pattern, they have in the venomous snake they have two long fangs and the row of smaller teeth along with the fang mark will be seen, whereas in the non-venomous snakes they will have the very small teeth marks arranged in rows but no fangs, and the solid contains no canal or the groove. So this is another identifying feature. Accordingly the features will be produced on the body by these snakes. Then the fangs in case of the venomous snakes are canalized like a hypodermic needles in case of vipers, whereas they are short grooved in case of cobra. In case of non-venomous snake, as we already talked, they are short and the solid and contains no canal or the groove. Poison gland is present in the venomous snake while it is absent in non-venomous snake. Saliva contains the toxic polypeptides and enzymes in case of the venomous snake, while it is absent in the non-venomous snake. The tail in case of venomous snake is maybe rounded or flattened in case, especially in cases of sea snakes, whereas it tapers abruptly in cases of the venomous snake, whereas in case of non-venomous snake, it is always rounded and tapers gradually. So this is another identifying feature between the venomous and the non-venomous snake. Habitat of the venomous snake is usually the nocturnal, whereas the non-venomous snake may be seen in the day period as well. Likewise, we may differentiate between the venomous and the non-venomous snakes. Here you can see in the picture, this is the cobra snake, and you can see here, this is a way to count the supralabial scales. So here the number 1, 2, 3. So you can see the third supralabial touches the eyes and the nose pit. This is the characteristic of the cobra. So by this we can identify the different types of the snakes. To sensitize you with the different features that we will be looking at the different snake, I will be just showing you different slides that are already seen snakes. This is the cobra snakes, Elapidae groups and different forms. We will be knowing different sorts of snakes, and thereby we will be identifying the different snakes. This is the all Elapidae groups of snakes. They are inhabiting in different parts of the country. By identifying the different features in the different snakes, you can see here, this is the poisonous snake, so tail is abruptly getting narrowed. So this is death adders. Similarly, the other venomous snakes we will be looking at. This is the your Elapidae groups, that is blue spotted snakes. So you can see this tail is the flattened in the case of the sea snakes. Likewise, we will be learning all the features. Then coming to these Viperidae groups. Viperidae groups have, there is another difference that the eye slit is vertical in case of the venomous snake, whereas it is round or the horizontal in case of non-venomous snake. We can also differentiate with that one. This is the pit viper. Here this is the pit that we already chalked, pit between the nasal and the eye slit. There is a pit. This is the pit viper. Similarly, the different sorts of the Russell viper and all those, their scales, by that pattern we can identify the different types of snakes, and in this way we will be able to identify the different types of poisonous snake. This is Sri Lankan pit viper, all those snakes. This is the bamboo, this is Chinese bamboo viper. By all the features we may able to identify the different sorts of snakes. Then we will be talking about the latest management for the snake bites. Then the other medically, this is the Colubridae groups. After the Viperidae, there are some of the Colubridae groups of the snakes. Other important snakes of the Colubridae groups. This features of the Colubridae groups. Here the red neck keelback neck, then the Yamakagsi neck, and the paddy-filled snake. These are all the Colubridae groups. What are features? Long nose whip necks. Then the Elapidae, Viperidae, and the Colubridae groups. We will be classifying different snakes. This is all for today. Thank you so much.